From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com.
That's it.
Yeah, now, broadcasting from the churn, that guy is Jacob Smith, and
Hey!
I'm Nick Tangman. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
You know what that is?
What?
It's 2 in a row.
2 in a row, yeah.
2 shows in a row where I've been introduced.
I know.
Top of the show.
I think now it's just going to happen.
No, I don't like it.
Happen.
I don't care for it.
All the more reason for me to do it. I don't know why you think that's going to have any kind of effect. But yeah, so Jim is running late.
Jim is running behind. He may or may not join us.
Yeah.
But as far as we know, he's fine. But
yes.
he's having one of those days where shit's just popping up.
Yep. Shit.
I know I've had those days recently.
Amen to that.
Yep.
So yeah, he will be joining us at some point.
As far as we know, he got out of the woods.
He did.
Yep.
Yes. One leg is perfectly fine.
Good.
Perfectly fine. He's got 100% mobility and use of that leg.
And I hear the other leg, they're hopeful for 85%.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, the other leg is doing fine on its own. It's no longer attached to Jim, but it is learning to live independently.
We have no reason to believe that his other leg is anything less than 100%,
Yeah.
wherever it may be.
Wherever it may be. Yeah. It started its own family. It's doing just fine on its own. It's got little toes.
That's
It's
it.
very happy. So, all right.
You want to just dive right in?
Let's just do it.
All right.
I like this question. I think you'll like this one too.
Okay,
Jim.
great.
This is going to be interesting. Religious graduate school.
All right. Oh, what a question for Jim to miss.
I know. I'm in my first year of
Jim, if you're listening, write in.
Right in. Right in. Let us know what you think.
Jim's not going to listen. It's
No,
fine.
he's not going to listen. Although I think he did listen to the last episode.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Last
which-
episode was a good one.
Yeah, which, by the way, we have a new Patreon supporter.
I saw that.
We'll talk about that
Yeah.
at the end. I was pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
All right. I am in my first year of a graduate program for mental health counseling at what would be considered a very religious school.
Okay.
They say they accept people of all faiths, which I guess is true because they let me in. I'm still a weird spiritual, still in a weird spiritual journey, but it's been racked with tons of religious trauma to go with it. For
Okay.
these purposes, let's just say I'm an atheist.
Okay, fine.
I feel so out of place here, not all the time, but very much so when I'm taking a class that's very religious, spiritual focused. We're constantly told that this is a safe space to share any and all ideas openly, but when I do, I feel like that's not been the case. When I share my non-religious viewpoints, I feel like I'm met with subtle gaslighting from others in the class. Usually, it's in the form of, keep your heart open and you'll find the path, or something along those lines.
Uh-huh.
It's really disheartening to feel like my experiences and my viewpoints don't matter, and it makes me more afraid to keep sharing.
Okay.
I'm trying to keep an open mind, and it's my desire to be a mental health counselor, but if my experience is going to be invalidated through this process, I'm not sure if I can make it. It makes me feel like I'll never be good enough. Also, is this a thing worth reaching out to a professor or advisor about? I want to stay in the program, but I feel like I'm opening more mental wounds as I take the class instead of feeling like I'm going to be a good future counsel. Love you guys. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have a name or do we have pronouns or anything? Anonymous. Great. I'll start at the end because I like to start at the end.
Yes.
I wouldn't bother with going to a professor about this. I mean, it seems like this is you would know better than I would, writer. But it seems like, kind of from the attitude and reading between the lines of your letter, that this, these things are being said to you openly in class, and I mean that is the environment that is being fostered at the school here. And so I mean, it doesn't seem like that would change by going and having a conversation. See, my bet would be that you would be met with ways, at best, ways that you could deal with this in different ways, and not with a readiness or willingness to change any kind of culture going on around it.
I would agree. And actually, I think the advice that you're going to get is really dependent on who you go to.
Yep.
because there's probably, well, I don't know. I mean, some of these schools, like you actually, to work there, you have to sign something, say,
Sure.
like a faith statement or
I
something
mean,
like that.
the writer may have been directly questioned about their religious views before being admitted.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I certainly talked to some schools when I was in high school, and I talked to some colleges, some undergrad schools that definitely brought up religion in some interviews.
Oh, really?
And that, I say some one.
One.
I talked to one religious school that had a fantastic theater department,
Oh.
and chatted with them, and that was one of the things that definitely put me off.
Yeah, I was going to say, you did not go to that
Didn't go to that school.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure it would have been fine if I had gone there. And they are much like this writer is saying. They are as accepting as they're going to be of people with different views, but there is definitely a dominant view that takes precedent.
Yeah, and I think there may be a professor there that you can kind of click with, or maybe you can kind of understand, or you kind of get that sense that they are kind of like you, where maybe they're spiritual but not really religious.
Yeah.
And then maybe that would be somebody who you can talk to and kind of get their take on it, and to see if that would be helpful. But otherwise, I would agree. I don't think it's really useful to bring up, because most likely everybody who works there probably shares the same view.
Yeah.
And they may even have some feedback as far as like, well, you kind of knew this when you enrolled.
Yeah. Which, by the way, they're right.
Right.
if they say that to you, they are correct, and you know that they're correct.
Yes.
And that's fine.
Yeah. So,
and all of that being said, I don't think this is a reason to not continue with this program or any. I mean, if it's bad, then that's a different thing. But what it sounds like you're saying in this, that's not a reason to not continue with it. It is an opportunity for you to deal with these things, and deal with these negative things that are just going to be a part of life for the rest of your life.
yes.
Not because of religion, but because of anything.
Yes.
Because of anybody else's. There are a lot of people out there who have different viewpoints than you do on a lot of different things, and they're going to react. Some are going to react better than others when they talk to you about these things as your life goes on.
Overall, I think this is a good learning experience.
Absolutely.
I think you've got
do.
Yeah, I think you've got a really good opportunity here to kind of understand that perspective, and to be able to, because I think a lot of the skills that you're going to learn are going to be just as useful as far as counseling people as it would be if you went to a different school that was more secular.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to affect your abilities as a clinician necessarily. I think you can still learn the same things. Plus, honestly, a lot of the really good skills you learn as a clinician, you learn in your internship after graduating, not necessarily in school. So that's where you're really going to get some good experience. I mean, as long as you can continue to go through this and continue to deal with that comment, because that would irritate me after a while.
But that's it, though. It's irritating.
Yeah.
It's irritating, and I would suggest, the thing that we keep kind of going around with is, I would suggest using this as a positive learning experience for you, and just saying, like, when somebody does say something that it's kind of an asshole-ish thing to be like, as long as you keep on this open heart path, journey of life, you will eventually come around to my way of thinking.
Yeah.
That's an asshole move. I'm with you, writer. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying here.
Yeah.
That's definitely an asshole move.
I do hope that Jacob keeps an open heart about the Minnesota Vikings, and
Sure.
sooner or later will realize that they are
And you know
the
what?
better NFL football team.
If evidence is presented to me,
See, now you're closing off your heart,
hard
Jacob.
factual evidence. No,
You're
no,
closing-
my heart
that's
is
close-
open to evidence.
that's
My heart is
close-heartedness.
open to evidence. If a bush starts burning next to me and starts talking to me, I'll listen. I'll listen. You want to get back to religion? If Jesus Christ shows up and is like, Jacob, I'm Jesus.
Jacob, I'm Jesus.
I'm sold.
I'm hearing
I'm
oh my God, I
sold.
hear it.
I have descended upon
I hear it.
The studio from the highs.
Why?
And,
Why are you also on fire?
Oh,
You're crossing your mixed messages here. Two references.
I really wanted to sell it. I figured I had one shot. And
Why is
so,
your entire crotch is just on fire?
Yeah.
Your
yeah.
bush is burning.
Yeah, the bush is burning, and it's holy. That's what you need to know. Hi,
So,
everybody.
Hi, Jim.
Liberty, you graduate.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
Is there a petition that we can start to make that Liberty University's fight song?
I'm surprised. I'm surprised that hasn't already. I'm sure somehow it's.
All right, Theropods, you're out there.
Yeah.
Start a petition.
Yeah,
tag
yeah,
us on
Liberty
Twitter.
University.
We will retweet it. We want Liberty University's fight song to be the Liberty Insurance jingle.
Yes, that is the goal. So I don't have much to contribute to this, but I relate. I know what that's like. So I've read the letter, by the way. But yeah, so for me, Ryder, coming into this a little bit late. Sorry for being late, everybody.
No worries.
I would say try to get everything that you can from the program. If the program meets your state standards, you will be a competent clinician. That's it. And so, like, for me, going to the school that I went to, there was absolutely fundamental things that I had a hard time with. But I found that the curriculum still had to be the curriculum. The test still had to prepare me for the national examination. And I think if you just approach it from that direction, you really come out ready. And what Nick said is, true, that you do a lot of your training after you graduate in workshops, in your mentorships. We don't expect you to be a finished clinician the day you graduate. So if you feel like you're missing some pieces from, the very unique puzzle that you're kind of constructing, that's okay. We all felt like that. Not one of our programs universally prepared us to meet every single kind of human. We don't get that kind of training. It's really just the minimum competencies that you can step forward. But, one bright spot, though, you will forever be fluent in the language of this school and their religion.
Yep.
And so in the future, when you do encounter patients that, have these kinds of thinkings, I think that even if you don't feel the same way they do, and they ask you, hey, are you my religion? You might answer, well, no, I'm not. But I attended a school built by your religion, and I speak it. I understand your language.
Yep.
And sometimes that's a huge advantage. So
And
look
it
at it as a
sounds like the
language.
writer might come from a background of religion as well.
Sounds like it, yeah. some trauma.
That may be a part of it as well.
Yeah.
So you'll be able to converse fluently in that language.
Here's the other thing that I think might be useful to take a look at. Because you say in here, it's very disheartening. I feel like my experience and viewpoints don't matter, and it makes me more afraid to keep sharing.
Mm-hmm.
So I would want to challenge you a little bit on that, and maybe we can do some cognitive reframing. So kind of changing the way that we look at this to, instead of making you more afraid of sharing, to encourage you to share even more. And it kind of reminds me of something that I've heard Penn Jillette talk about on his podcast, Penn Sunday School, when he was talking about going to be on Celebrity Apprentice. And he was talking about the story, and he was saying, well, why do I do this? Do I really need to do this? What am I trying to accomplish with this? And he had a friend who said, well, do this to show people what atheists can be. Or to, and so that was kind of his I don't know, mantra or whatever, but to go on to the show and to portray himself as an atheist and to break all these stereotypes of, like, oh yeah. And so, he's kind, he's loving, he's all of these things, and to just kind of break some of those stereotypes.
Sure.
I think you're kind of in a similar situation here where you are the person there that doesn't fully buy into this belief system. And one of the best things that you can do, the best experience you can have in graduate school, is to have your beliefs challenged.
That's true.
Certainly.
That is incredibly useful. Like the way I went into graduate school is way different than the way I came out.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Because it was all very based, about discussion. You can't just, in graduate school, you can't just say something and say, well, this is the way it is.
Right.
Because
This is what I believe.
Yeah, because somebody's going to say, well, what about this? Or, well, what about these situations, these circumstances? And it really forces you to think. So you're now kind of playing that role. And you've got an opportunity where you can do it in a compassionate, kind way. And so people will like you, and people will say, yeah, you know what? I disagree with what you just said, but I kind of like the approach, but I'll think about that, and you become more open to different beliefs and different viewpoints.
And two things to follow up on that. One is the other reason that Penn did Celebrity Apprentice twice, by the way, is also there was a definite goal in going on the show, which is sell tickets to the Penn and Teller show in Las Vegas, Nevada. There is a decided, stated goal. My name gets bigger, the name Penn and Teller gets bigger, more people buy tickets to our show. You have a goal. Graduate college, become a therapist.
Yeah.
So I mean, there is a definite goal here. Focus on that goal. And also, with what Nick was just saying about your opinions and your beliefs and your thoughts and everything else getting challenged, what that does is it doesn't necessarily change those opinions. It may, if your heart is open, right? Then I mean, your opinions may change based on new information that you get from people that you're speaking to, from sources that they give you. All of these things. I'm not necessarily talking about religion, but I'm talking about anything. But the other thing that it will do is it will change your view on your own opinions. And what I mean by that is it will force you to verbalize what those opinions are and to defend them, which is a great thing that I don't think that we focus on enough anymore. Right. Now, this is my old man on a soapbox rant for a moment here, but I don't think that we focus enough on explain your viewpoint to me in a way that I can understand and that I may or may not be able to sympathize with. And as soon as you have to do that, that puts that opinion in a different light in your own head. And it forces you to really solidify it a little bit in some ways. And it forces you to, not solidify is the wrong word, scratch that. It forces you to examine it. And when you examine your own thoughts and your own opinions on these things, that can be a great thing. And it won't necessarily change them, but it will make you look at them differently. And I think, in my experience, that will make you look at it, at those opinions a little more fluidly, and it will make those opinions easier to change.
Yeah.
And I think if you have opinions that are easy to change, I think that's a pretty healthy thing. I think that's a nice thing, because I mean that you're not going to get into a screaming match with someone over an opinion that you can change just with a single new piece of evidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I think you're in a good spot. I think as long as you feel like this isn't going to be too torturous for you, I think you're in a really good spot to turn this into something positive. I would encourage you to continue push through,
Yeah.
Alternate plan.
Yeah.
Accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, and this could all just go away.
We haven't talked enough about that.
All ideas on the table, guys.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, doing a disservice as a podcast if we don't lay out all the options.
That is the fastest solution.
Yeah, there's just a quick, obvious door here. Nobody seems to want to walk through it. So.
It's an audio podcast. I know Jim is currently spraying lighter fluid on his pubic hair.
Yeah. Here's a real good idea, Ryder. If you really want to win friends, every class, start the class letting everybody know, hey, guys, I'm an atheist, but I'm very open-minded to your religion. Then the first one that tries to evangelize you, accept the religion right there.
Just
right there.
immediately.
And just let be the person that every class they're like, oh my gosh, that's the person who accepted the religion with us.
Calvinists.
Do that over and over and over every single class. And then by the end, you'll probably be giving the commencement speech.
I don't hate this idea.
There was oh shit, I wish I could remember who the
Very
comedian
simple way
was. There
forward.
was some comedian that does that with people who come to his door.
He just accepts it?
No, what he does is he says,
Thank you.
He said he acts like he's never heard this story before.
Oh, that's right.
That's great.
Wait, what?
What? Yeah.
He did what?
Yeah.
What happened?
And they're like, so anyway, this, that. And like, wait, who?
Yeah.
Tell me, wait, no, go on. No, this is important.
Joseph Smith, you say?
This is important. Well, good luck, Ryder. But don't forget, you could just go the shortest path here and just go with the religion. It's very simple.
And also, people are going to be assholes.
Yeah, that's true.
That's fine.
No matter where
Let
you
them
go.
be assholes. And it's easy to say, I know, but try not to worry about it.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's okay for you to let people know, hey, I don't feel super comfortable, and I'm communicating that.
It's also okay every now and then to be like, hey, you're kind of being an asshole right now.
Yeah.
Jacob's way is also
I'd say pick and choose those ways, those times, but yep, it works for me.
Exactly. But thanks for writing in.
Great
That was a
question.
good question. All right, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're discussing getting rejected from a job. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
You can't fire me, I quit.
This week's
There goes your
therapy
severance,
sponsor
stupid.
is Robert Brownie Jr., Mintz, Kayla Lansbury, Crazy Manana Scoop, Leah, and Cindy Ash. If you would like to sponsor the show, become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy. This week's trivia theme in honor of our therapy producers is NFL records.
Scratch.
I know, weren't expecting that, were you?
Not that kind of record.
Oh, the record for the most career touchdowns belongs to Jerry Rice with 208.
Shit, I thought that
I
was going to be
know,
the question.
that's why
I
I
was so
did it.
excited.
With 175 touchdowns, who is in second place?
Oh my gosh.
Is it A, Emmitt Smith? Is it B, Randy Moss? Is it C, LaDainian Tomlinson? Yeah.
Ooh.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Or D, Marcus Allen?
LT.
Would you like to join the therapy producers and make the show possible? Go to patreon.com/therapy and sign up. Again, that's patreon.com/therapy.
I will. Okay, so
Jim?
I know Jacob knows it.
Jim,
So
I don't know
probably-
it.
You
I
don't.
I have a guess.
Okay.
But you made a
hear
gesture
my-
when the
my reasoning?
answers were being read out. So go ahead.
I don't think it's Emmett. 'cause
Okay.
I believe Emmett was a running back, and I just don't think he's going to get that many receptions.
Emmett was a running back.
So
Well, it's
that
not
don't feel
receptions.
right.
It's just
Touchdowns.
touchdowns.
Oh, it was touchdowns.
Yeah. It's not
Oh.
receiving touchdowns.
Oh,
Yeah, just
It's just touchdowns. Period.
I don't think Emmett played long enough to get that.
Okay.
He was great, but I don't think he's in there. He's Hall of Fame, but I just don't.
Sure.
LT feels right. Randy Moss feels right. The last one doesn't.
Marcus Allen?
Yeah, I feel like I'm going Randy Moss.
You're saying Marcus Allen doesn't feel right because you didn't play enough Tecmo Super Bowl.
Yes. Also, I have
Marcus
no
Allen
idea
was
who Marcus
solid.
Allen is.
Marcus Allen was a solid player.
I'm
Yeah,
sticking to
yeah.
what I know.
You're going Moss though.
I know Randy Moss. I know he was a beast.
I'm going Emmett.
You're going Emmett?
I'm going Emmett.
Oh no.
I'm
Did
going
I
Emmett.
miss something
That's-
here.
I-
I feel like I missed.
No, I told you. I
something.
don't know.
Okay.
I'm telling you the truth. I don't know. But my guess is Emmitt Smith.
Boy, I don't know.
Because Emmitt Smith was the running back when
They did
when
get
running
2
backs
Super
were
Bowls.
just fed. I believe they got
right.
3.
You're
I believe
right.
I believe that Cowboys team got 3. I think they got 2 in a row.
Oh wow, yeah, and then they skipped one. They came back.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
And you're
Cowboys team
right.
got 3.
That was back when
And
the
that was
rules
back
were
when-
different.
when
you could
they-
hit quarterbacks back
you
then.
could hit quarterbacks, and they
Yeah.
just fed running
Yeah.
backs, and there was none of the stuff like football teams have now with multiple
Yeah.
backs.
Yeah,
It was
there's a
that's your
guy.
running back.
Yeah, and you run him until he's in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
and then you stop. Yeah, okay.
I'm
I'm sticking with Moss because I took it, but you got strong logic.
I'm going Emmett,
All right.
but again, it is a guess.
Survey says.
Emmitt Smith.
There we go.
Wow.
Randy Moss is 4th.
Oh, wow.
That's higher than I would have guessed for Moss.
Wow.
Yeah. LaDainian Tomlinson is 162. He's in 3rd. He's
Okay,
in 3rd. So it's
man, that's higher than I would have guessed for Moss
it's-
or LT.
it's Jerry Rice, Rice, Smith, Tomlinson, Moss.
Wow.
And then
Wow.
somebody else. And then Marcus Allen was 6th.
There you go.
So there you have it.
And it was a different time, and the Cowboys had 2 players that scored most of their touchdowns over that Super Bowl run that they had, and that was it.
Yeah. Yep.
They
Yeah,
had,
he
they had their
was-
running
I
back and they
mean-
had their wide receiver. That was
I just always remember Emmitt Smith and Barry Sanders. They're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like constantly on Sports Center. They're
Yeah.
just amazing.
I can't name another player on the Cowboys.
Troy Aikman.
That's it. I can get Troy and I can get Emmett. I
Um,
honestly cannot think of one other person. T.O.? No, T.O.
T.O. was Cowboys later.
Okay.
Yeah, later.
Deion Sanders.
Oh,
Deion Sanders,
sweet
yes,
Deion
yes, yes.
Sanders.
Yep, there's a defensive player.
Who's sweet.
There were a few. I can name a few others from that, like guys like Leon Lett and people like that
Guy.
that were around.
Oh, Jimmy Johnson.
That was the coach.
That counts.
Yep, absolutely that counts. He was
Take
the
that.
coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's on the team. And wait a minute. Isn't that the owner? Jimmy
Jerry
Johnson?
Jones.
Jerry Jones is the owner. Yeah. This is JJ for both
Forgive
of them.
me for, I feel like that is forgivable.
Neither of us laughed at you for that.
Now,
Yeah.
Jerry
No, they're the same guy.
Jones,
Yeah,
Jimmy
yeah.
Johnson, Jimmy Johns.
And then,
John
the
Jacob
receiver
Jingleheimer
that I was
Schmidt.
just thinking of, his name just flew out of my head.
That will happen.
All,
Fumble.
all I can think of now is Shannon Sharp, and that's wrong.
That's
But
not
but they are often on broadcasting teams together now. I
Hmm.
believe he was number 88.
Feels right.
Somebody's just yelling at their iPhone right now.
Yeah.
Or a lot of
not
people
in our
are.
audience.
No.
Our audience is yelling, "Move on!"
Yeah. Somebody.
It's true. We've literally gotten mail that says if you continue to do this.
I had geography questions, and I'm like, okay, let's just take a break from that.
Michael Irvin.
Oh yeah.
That's
yeah.
it. Like his
Michael
name was
Irvin.
in my head, and then it flew right out.
Yeah. So I want to throw you guys a bone here with this.
There we
one,
go.
So. All right, let's go on to our next one. Getting rejected for a job by our buddy, University Jeff.
Yay.
All right.
He's writing back.
Oh, by the way, the joke that Jim and I just teamed up to make before the ad break, the you can't fire me, I quit thing, and he was like, "Oh, you don't get your severance now." That reminded me, I know someone that the opposite happened to, and you hear about that, and you like see it on TV shows.
They say I quit, and then they say
and they were like, "Nope, you're fired."
And then they had to pay him severance.
Yes,
that happened on The Office.
was that The Office?
The Office.
Oh, that is The Office. Yes,
there was a scene in The Office where that happens, where
it was like severance
they
or
merged the
unemployment
two
or something.
branches, and then
Yeah.
Michael Scott's in charge, and the guy's like, during orientation, he's like just hazing these people.
And he tries to quit.
Yeah, one of them's like, I can't do this. I don't mesh well with your leadership. I have to resign. I quit as of today. And he's, you can't quit. You're fired. And then he had to call his boss, and the boss was like, "You idiot! Like, now we have to pay him a severance package, and he can go get unemployment benefits."
Yeah. I don't remember what my friend got, but there was a monetary thing
Oh boy.
that he got because he got fired while he was trying to quit,
Oh my goodness.
and it was like he would not
Thank
have gotten
you.
if he had quit.
Oh
That's
wow.
the assist.
Yeah.
That's the assist.
And it's just like, well, I mean, you can go back to football. Some
Yeah.
people just don't know the rules.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my god.
Every now and then you play against somebody, and you're like, "Oh, you don't know the rules for this, do you?"
Jesus.
That's funny.
All right. Hey there, Pod Therapy friends.
Hi, Jeff.
Been a while since I wrote in. Life has gotten a lot better for me, and I am pretty sure
Good.
I am on the verge of a big career change.
All right.
Excuse me.
You're excused.
I feel I am one step away from getting into a preferred career path of university events and programming at my alma mater, no less. Just waiting on a phone call with a potential job offer.
Okay.
Cool.
A bit of a background, my sister recently had her first child this last year, and I'm so happy to be an uncle. I've been back home a few times in the last year to visit for various reasons, job interviews, weddings, and unfortunately a funeral for my maternal grandmother.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Each time I am back, I stay with my sister, her husband, and my niece. It has been nice since my sister and I never really had a good relationship growing up. The classic tale of sibling fights, resentment, since she was the youngest and I am in the middle. I'm the middle child. Each time I visit, we chat about life, repair our relationship, and have started a process of childhood trauma since our parents' relationship is not the healthiest, alcoholic father and codependent mother. These visits have been bringing into focus what is important to me and have really told me that I need to apply to jobs closer to my family and friends so I can be a part of their lives and they a part of mine. Currently, I am living a lengthy 7 or 8 hour drive away, depending on traffic. Anytime I want to visit, sorry, I skipped a line. Anytime I want to visit for a day, I need to take 3 days off. 1 day for travel down, 1 day for whatever I am visiting for, and 1 day to travel back.
Yep.
Gives me plenty of time to listen to Pod Therapy and
Thanks for the plug.
audiobooks and other podcasts on my trip,
You listen
So-
to other things.
so I won't complain too much.
Pod therapy and then silence.
Yeah. You have two options,
Yeah.
Jeff.
It's Pod Therapy or off.
I have 48 hours of travel time. 46 and a half are just silent.
That's what a purist would say.
A couple of times, the extended family has gotten together for brunch, the king of all meals, and I cannot go, though I want to, because I live so far away. This past year, I have been consistently trying for a job posting at my alma mater and other colleges within a 2-hour drive of my family and friends,
Oh, how
so I
nice.
can visit easier. Some of these applications have led to 2 job interviews, campus visits, and being a finalist for 4 jobs, but sadly, no offers. Each of these rejections has really rattled my confidence and left me wondering if I perform as well as I thought during the interviews. I have asked for feedback on interviews from interviews from the universities I've applied to, so hopefully I'll get some useful stuff that helps me to land that elusive job. An intrusive thought I have that I've been having is just not applying for the jobs that I want because I am not going to get it anyway. I have taken that thought to court and fought against it using some of the stuff I have learned from all of you and from my counselor. So I know I need to keep applying. I wonder though, how can I keep my spirits up after being rejected so many times? I have felt like curling up into a ball and just crying my eyes out, or eating a whole pint of ice cream after these rejection calls. What thought exercises, videos, or other things can help me get my confidence up? Just also realizing the sensitivity to rejection could also be connected to me being single for over 10 years now. That is for another letter, though. Any advice would be appreciated, even from the comedian and life coach Jacob. I really appreciate everything
What have
you guys
you done,
have done.
Jeff?
Oh, I've got advice.
What have
I've
you
got
done?
all the advice.
You fool!
He's just been sitting there rocking in his chair since
Yep.
this letter
The
started.
Kraken.
Yeah, this podcast has helped me get through a lot of really tough times and got me back into counseling. And I have shared this podcast with several of my friends, hoping it can do the same for them.
Oh,
I hope this continues for years to come. University Jeff.
cool. And we have an
Great.
update which we'll read later. But yeah, great question, Jeff. And man, we all have been there. I think that feeling inadequate whenever you're applying to jobs, getting those rejection letters, which are always going to happen, that really does take a bite out of your confidence, especially whenever you've really taken the time to say, you know what, I'm picking things that I feel I'm in alignment with. I feel like, I can do this. I love what you're already doing. I love that you're taking the thought to court and you're looking for that bigger story of proof. And it's tricky because there's going to be some evidence, the evidence that says, hey, there's some rejections coming through. That counts for something. And okay, it does. But I've also been able to be employed my whole life, and I've managed to take care of myself. And, I do meet the by the book qualifications of the things I'm applying for. And that is something that is factual. So it's really just this matter of time kind of thing of just continuing to take a swipe and trying to go for it. But I get it. When we're getting rejected, it's hard to keep our spirits up. So, my advice to you is, A, I love what you're already doing. I want you to continue doing that. B, using that positive self-talk that just comes back to telling yourself who you really are. Don't tell yourself that these rejection letters get to define who you are, that they're just happening to you right now. They don't know you. And they're not even evaluating you. You're probably just number 875 on their pile in Indeed, and they're just swiping through as fast as they can. And a lot of times the people that get a job are the people that just left that exact same job with a competitor, and so they just fill that spot. So if you're trying to reach up a notch, that's always the hardest job to get in your life, is whenever you're taking one step up the ladder, and it kind of sounds like that's what you're doing. You're trying to climb. So keep that in mind too, man, that it doesn't say a lot about you. Just staying positive, I think, coming back to those affirmations, telling yourself who you are, things you're proud of in yourself, and giving yourself credit for little goals that you're reaching, even applying, even sending in that information. Those are goals, and I'm glad that you're meeting them. They matter.
Yeah, you talked about the exercise of taking your thought to court and how that has been helpful. So definitely keep doing that. But I think the other thing too, and we've talked about this with other people who've written into the show, specifically about job interviews and not getting the job. And we tend to assign meaning to ourselves based off of events that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's good. Like we can learn a lot about ourselves from something. Like, if a relationship ends, okay, what did I do, or what pieces did I control in this that I can learn from and change?
Or if 5 relationships end in the same way,
Right. Yeah.
and you're the common denominator, maybe time to learn something
you
here.
can learn something. That doesn't necessarily apply to job interviews, though, because sometimes it has nothing to do with you. Sometimes it's just you're competing, and sometimes there's just better applicants,
Right.
And it's a difficult situation out there. But it's a common. I think it's just kind of the way our brains are wired, where we associate things we do to outcomes that happen.
Mm-hmm.
We naturally do, and it's the same way. Like, if a 7-year-old, doesn't finish their dinner one night and the next day they're told their parents are divorcing, the 7-year-old makes that connection. Like,
Right.
oh, this is because I didn't eat my dinner last night like I was supposed to. If I would have just eaten my vegetables, mom and dad would be staying together.
I mean, that's correct. I
Right.
don't know why you're bringing this up.
Also,
That's just factually
That's
true.
Factually. But we have that way of making that connection, and sometimes that's not the case, and I try to remind myself of this all the time when I'm golfing, because I make a mistake and then I'm like, God damn it, I'm so fucking stupid. Why did I do that? And I have to remember, like, no, I'm not stupid. It's hard. Like, this is a really difficult thing to do. I'm trying to hit this little ball with this 3-foot long stick and put it, 300 yards away. It's like, it's a difficult thing to do. So you just have to keep that in mind. Getting a job, doesn't necessarily have anything to do with you all the time. Sometimes you just don't get a job because there was somebody else, and they just gave it to them.
This is weirdly something that I have a lot of experience in. Is exactly what Jeff is writing in about.
Mm-hmm.
So in my in my profession, I'm for people who don't know me, I'm a
life coach.
I'm a life coach, a comedian, and also Broadway sound guy.
Oh yeah, I always forget about that.
Yeah. So I've worked, Broadway tours. I work for a circus in Las Vegas and et cetera. I'm just going to ignore everything there. And as part of that, one thing that I get to do on occasion, I used to do it a lot more, but I still do it on occasion, is I get invited to universities to speak to theater departments and speak to people who are in school to be professional entertainers, either on stage or off stage.
You get to life coach them
I get to life coach them.
Yeah.
That's what I get to do.
Yeah.
And one thing that I talk a lot about is this.
Pod therapy?
Pod therapy. Also, what Jeff wrote in about.
Oh, yeah. Man,
no.
we are off today.
Yeah.
God, we should just stop trying to finish his
sandwiches. But no, because in the entertainment world, your entire job is just to audition. Your entire job is to audition all the time.
Yeah.
And what you do is, and I tell you, I know people who are phenomenal entertainers, and they are wonderful at what they do. They have worked on Broadway. They have toured. They have residencies in Las Vegas. They do all of these things. And every single one of them, without fail, has not gotten more jobs than they have gotten.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, over the years, I can't tell you how many jobs I have applied for and not gotten.
Yeah.
And I am successful.
Yeah.
I am, in no way, shape, or form can you say that I am not successful in
you are
the sound
not
world.
Successful in the sound world. I did
Except for that.
I just did it.
Except for what Jim just did.
Tell me what I can't do with my mouth.
But no, I mean, I do well in my profession. And people that I'm around do well in their professions. And all of us have not gotten more jobs than we have gotten.
That makes sense.
Because, when I'm in years past, when I've been between gigs, I'm sending out resumes. I'm doing all the things. And pretty much all of them come back a no.
Yeah.
If I send out 50 applications, I've probably got 50 rejections.
Wow.
That's really interesting the way you describe that, though. The way you talk about, like, your job is applying.
Yeah.
And occasionally you get to take a break from applying.
Occasionally you get to do things.
Yeah.
And it's in my world, it's definitely more. This is definitely the case more for performers. Than it is for anyone else. So, like, my wife SJ is a successful singer and performer in Las Vegas and has been all over the world doing that. It's hard to get a job.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a gig. It's hard to just go. I mean, and you hustle. You go into places and you just say, like, hey, I've got it's me on I sing. I've got a band. My band is made up of these rock stars that have performed with bands that, like, here are their resumes. Here are the bands that they've performed with that you've heard of.
Yeah.
And can we get a gig here on Saturday night? No.
Yeah.
No, we're already booked. We're doing this on Saturday night for whatever reason. At the end of the day, the answer is no.
Yeah.
And dealing with that rejection is something that I talk to college students about, and on the rare occasions that I deal with high school students, I talk to them a little bit about it, a little less, because it can be soul crushing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say that as a joke. It can be absolutely soul crushing to be told over and over again, especially when you're the product as you are as an entertainer. You're
All right.
you're the product. It's not I'm a good XYZ, whatever job you're trying to fill. It is, I'm on stage.
Yeah.
I'm standing in a microphone. I'm doing this. I'm doing comedy for you. I'm singing. I'm acting. I'm doing whatever. It's hard. It's really hard for those people to separate themselves from this, and you have to.
Yep.
You absolutely have to, or you can't do the job. Because remember, the job is auditioning, and if all you get is rejection, which is not uncommon for even people who are well qualified as you are, is it sounds that you are, Jeff. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You got to move on to the next thing. You
Yeah.
got to move on to the next application.
Yep.
And the thing that you can do, and this is what I tell to these students and everything, you know what you're good at. We work a lot on being humble, especially in our society. We work a lot on being humble and not talking about the things that we're good at.
I'm the best at being humble, and I never talk about what I'm good at.
He doesn't.
I really play it.
Yeah.
I'm just uncomfortable with the spotlight.
Yeah.
Really.
I
Which you can see glimmering off of these two
Right.
trophies that I bring with me.
That
in
you
both of my
carry with you
pockets.
often.
I talk a lot about
case I
my
get pulled over,
accomplishments,
you know,
and I'm
cops
still underrating my accomplishments.
Yeah,
Because
that's
I got
true.
so many more that I don't talk
Buckets
about.
of them. You
Yeah.
know, for every one I talk about,
Yeah.
I'm paying for storage on
Yeah.
the rest.
But Jeff, you know what you're good at.
Yes.
You know the things that you're good. You know you're good at the job that you're applying for. All you have to do is catch some. It's not even that you have to convince somebody else that you're good at it, because odds are they know that you're good at it too.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's just like Nick and Jim were just saying, there are all kinds of reasons that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
There's all kind of reasons that somebody else gets it. It might be a reference. It might be anything at all. In my world, it's like, oh, this person is 2 inches taller. This person's 2 inches shorter.
Sure.
This person was available on Wednesdays and you're not.
Right.
You can be anything and everything. And a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with your qualifications, man.
I remember a story once from John Travolta, and he was talking about applying for a job before Grease. And it was some kind of sailor, some kind of Navy kind of movie.
Okay.
And in this documentary, he was talking about it, and he said it came down to him and this other guy. And he put his heart and soul into this. He had dropped out of high school as part of his story to really prove that he could do it. And he got rejected, and they picked the other guy.
Mhm.
And when he asked whoever, casting person, hey, can I ask why this happened? And they said, you know what? You definitely played this character. You became this character. The other guy is this character. He just is that guy.
There you go.
He's not acting.
He used
That
to
is
be in
who
the
he is.
Navy.
Yeah,
Or something.
he just
whatever
is
it is.
this guy.
Yeah,
So
well, it's like,
that's it.
Yeah,
you're really good at what you do. In
And also,
fact, you're
you-
so good at it that you're a damn good actor. You're a better actor than this guy, but we're picking him because he just is the guy.
Also,
'cause-
you would have been great in this part.
yeah.
yeah.
You would have been if we had hired you,
Yeah.
you would have been great in it.
Johnny Depp could have been Iron Man,
Right.
but RDJ
Yeah.
is
He just
Iron
is
Man.
Iron Man. There's, what do you want?
Yeah.
Anybody could have acted that part. Tom Cruise could have, absolutely crushed that. Robert Downey Jr. isn't playing Iron Man. He's just Robert Downey Jr. That's
Yeah.
the same guy.
Right.
Even when he's interviewing, I don't even think they even I'm surprised they don't call him Rob. Whenever they're talking to him, it's the same guy. There's no cuts.
Yeah.
There's not even script. He's just
But
doing his thing.
I'll tell you something I'm good at. I'm good at my job.
Yeah.
I'm good at pod therapy.
Oh,
I'm good
yeah.
at all this. And I
Yeah.
guarantee you, Jeff,
Yes.
you're going to get this job.
Whoa.
Not only do I
Bold
guarantee
prediction.
it, I guarantee it. I'm willing to bet
Whoa, Nick.
a
careful.
month of our Patreon.
Whoa.
Jeff, you're going to get this job.
Man, bold predictions.
Minus studio rental.
You know what?
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Cheers. I
He's
still
gotta
need
get
my
his
cut.
beak wet. So we're gonna give you a latte.
Yeah.
You can have all that. You know what? I'm a betting man too, Nick. I'm a betting
yeah?
man. I'm willing to bet all the beers that I already owe Nick and Jacob, the entire check. I'm willing to double or nothing this thing that Jeff gets the job.
No.
I'm willing to
you
bet
can't
it.
afford that.
Unaccepted. Unaccepted.
I'll absolutely double or nothing. This
No.
You can't afford that.
We have an update letter from him.
We've got an update. Update. I got the job.
Winner!
Does that mean that Jim owes us double beers?
No, no, no,
yeah,
no,
that-
that's
yeah,
not how
that
it
was
works.
great.
That's how I
said he
understood
gets
that
the job.
math.
I said he gets it.
No, I understood that math. Now Jim owes us double beers.
That's not
Yeah,
how it works.
You're right. That was a good idea, Jim. Thank you. I got the job and I started January 10th. My mental health has really done a 180 and everything is going really well now.
Yay.
I feel like my life has turned a corner and I'm finally where I want to be and on the path to an overall joyous life. I'm still going to a new counselor in the area because there is much I want to work on. University Jeff.
Way to go,
All right.
Jeff.
So just remember this.
Our advice is
here's
awesome.
the thing. Because right now,
Instant results.
you're at that peak.
Mhm.
There's going to be another valley,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, you're
So-
going to get fired.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
Oh, hey, we got another update.
Yeah, update 2.
Shit.
Fuck you guys.
This is weirdly prophetic at this point. Congrats, Jeff. And
Yeah.
Nick's right. You know, we still want to be hardy for the times that things are not coming up our name. But you did it, man. And way to stay positive through it and keep doing the
Yep.
next right thing. You got results. That's awesome.
Thank you for writing in.
That's the pod therapy guarantee right there.
Exactly. All right. We're going to take a quick break.
Let's
When we
do
come back, we are going to discuss relationship puddle jumping.
Hooray.
You're listening to Pod Therapy. This week's Therapy Producer sponsors are Robert Brownie Jr., Kayla Lansbury, Crazy Banana Scoop, Malia, and Cindy Ash. And if you would like to sponsor the show, become a Therapy Producer at patreon.com/therapy. Our second NFL football trivia question is, Bruce Smith holds the record for career sacks with 200. Who holds second place all time with 198? Is it A, Julius Peppers, B, Jared Allen, C, Kevin Green, or D, Reggie White? If you'd like to join the Therapy Producers and become a sponsor, go to podtherapy.com/therapy.
That's not it.
The
It's
name-
patreon.com/therapy.
God
There
damn
you
it.
go.
Pod,
Yeah.
It isn't even podtherapy.com. We don't even own that. It's podtherapy.net
No, trust me. Trust me. Go to
Man.
podtherapy.com.
/therapy. That was
Tell
the full
them-
URL you gave
Tell
them.
them you want to become a Therapy Producer
And just give them money.
and
Yeah.
give them money.
That's great.
They'll take it.
I'm surprised
The
show
bad
still
thing there
exists.
is the name that was in my head before you started reading off the choices did not show up in the choices.
That
Oh,
is
what was
never
it?
good.
That's never a good
That
sign.
is never good.
Uh,
I'm going with Julius Peppers because that is the only name I even vaguely am familiar with.
all right, who'd you have
Oh,
on
really?
there? You had Peppers,
Peppers, Jared Allen.
you had Allen, Viking, by the
Viking.
way.
Correct. Oh, you figured it out.
Are they all Vikings?
No.
No.
Why I put him on the list.
Oh, got it.
He's a Viking. He's obviously not the right answer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh,
I mean, he's
He was
good.
He
I
was
like-
good.
like you're just giving tips to Jacob.
Maybe
you know.
best Viking. No,
I
probably
locked
not
in
best
No,
mine.
I
Viking
knew
ever,
that it wasn't
but,
Jared Allen.
Whatever.
Kevin Green or Reggie White.
Man, Peppers, Green, and White are real good. I think this might be another case of just like the first question where it was all that they were all top 5.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Lean, Mean, Kevin Green.
That feels right. I didn't know there were rhymes.
I mean,
I need to be introduced
who'd
to
you
these
go with?
people along with
you
their
went,
rhymes.
You went with Peppers.
Peppers.
All right, so I won't go Peppers just because
I
why
just take
why
it.
be boring?
Yeah.
Uh,
What the guy who has a rhyme? I didn't know he had a rhyme for
I
his
mean,
name.
Green was real good. I'm gonna go White. I'm gonna go
Okay.
Reggie.
Okay.
Ooh.
It is Reggie White.
All right.
Dang.
That is 2 for
Is
2.
he 2 for 2? Oh my
Yes.
gosh! Wow.
Kevin
yeah.
Green didn't seem like he got quite
Kevin
that
Green
many
is
sacks.
in 3rd place.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean,
Hunter-
White was
Was Peppers in second?
White was 2nd.
Oh, White was.
White was 2nd.
Oh.
Green was 3rd. Peppers was 4th.
Okay.
Jared Allen.
12th.
There we go.
Wow.
Again, higher than I would have guessed for Jared Allen. I would have guessed like 25th. He was real good.
Yeah, he was good. He was really
Apparently,
good.
he's trying to get a coaching job with Minnesota now.
Oh, is he really?
He's been lobbying. I think it's Jared Allen who's been lobbying on social media to get a coaching job with them.
I didn't know that was a tactic that you could do. Just do it if you get enough Instagram
Well,
followers.
I think to get an interview. I think he's
Yeah.
using that to try to get an interview.
I think Logan
Huh.
Paul is doing that too.
yeah.
Yeah.
with the Vikings.
Yeah.
I believe the Vikings have already hired Logan
Yeah,
Paul.
yeah, yeah. I
By the
think-
time this episode airs, I believe
it'll
that
be
news will have
announced.
dropped.
Yeah. That's what I've heard as well.
as the
So,
quarterback, right?
Yeah. I believe the Vikings are officially doing anything they can to sell season tickets at this
Clout.
point.
Clout doesn't matter.
Yeah.
What will you people pay to come see?
Which,
What
by
do
the
you
way,
need?
is the reason that they should hire Jared Allen
You want a
as
yellow,
like a
dog out
linebacker
there?
coach or something.
We'll do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just there's no rule that says dog can't play football.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let him in.
All right, we have our next question here. Relationship puddle jumping. Hello there. My name is Megan.
Hi, Megan.
She, her
Thank you.
pronouns.
Great.
I'm 25 years old, and I went through a divorce a couple years ago. Though he was a good guy, I was unhappy in my marriage. We got married too young, and we had different versions of the visions for the future. I had an affair while this was. I'm sorry. Hold on.
While in this marriage.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I had an affair while in this marriage that lasted a year and a half, and the relationship extended into the time after my divorce. However, I soon left that person who I'd had an affair with and began dating other people. With the next 2 serious relationships I had, the same thing happened, although I never really cheated again, as this is one of my greatest regrets. I am with a person for a bit of time. I am with a person for a bit of time. Then I naturally developed a deep friendship connections with others, and I begin to disconnect from my romantic partner, break up, and fall into the next connection. It feels as though I am puddle jumping from relationship to relationship. This is confusing because I'm a very independent person, and I'm fine being alone. So this doesn't match with my perception of myself, but sometimes people are so interesting and I just want to know them, all of them. It doesn't happen frequently, but when it does, it's very strong. It's just a crush. It's not just a crush. It's a sincere caring and desire to be close. And it doesn't feel right saying no to these deep connections, as I believe it's the stuff life is made of. I feel as though as soon as I connect with someone, my focus shifts to that person. I don't know what this means for commitment or monogamy going forward, but it's very scary and confusing. I don't want to go through life hurting people like this. Thanks for sticking with the long explanation. You guys are so thoughtful and thorough with your answers. Thank you so much.
Cool. Megan, she and her.
I hardly ever talk about this with college students.
Oh, okay. This
Yeah.
is not the one that you tore.
No, this isn't the big one.
Okay, this
Oh,
is not
so
the one that you give a lot of advice.
So you're going to
on.
have to sit this one out.
Yeah.
You know what?
Oh, I'm gonna give lots of advice.
Give the
Yeah.
same advice anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe
Listen, you have one job.
we tell people to go see a therapist.
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
advice is,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I talk to college students all the
Don't
time.
worry about
this.
it.
You know what? It'll be fine.
It'll come through. Yeah, this is a good one, Megan. I mean, I guess one of the things that I think is really healthy is, as I'm hearing you describe this, is you seem to have really good personal insight. I mean, the way you're describing yours.
Self-awareness.
Yeah,
Very
the
good.
self-awareness is really good. Like, you seem to be saying, well, this behavior pattern kind of feels incongruent because I'm sort of an independent sort of person, which, okay, I don't know, Nick. I mean, when I hear that, I think, well, no, actually, I would think an independent person would maybe be quite comfortable sort of meeting the next person and moving forward and not necessarily feeling that they have to sort of be codependent with somebody forever.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too.
I don't
'cause
think
it's
that's
not-
incongruent.
It's not. Yeah, because it's not like it's a need to be in a relationship. Like
No.
it's more just like you said. I think it's an interesting concept as far as just being interested in other people and constantly wanting to see other people. I totally get your concern. You don't want to go through life hurting people. You seem to be very aware that this has a negative effect on other people, and don't want that.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, where do you go from here? I think.
don't know. I mean, I like the self-awareness. I mean, I don't want you to necessarily have a disclaimer in relationships because that isn't always accurate. And I think that when you're approaching relationships, from what I can read, you seem to be approaching them authentically. You seem to really be interested, and you really are, kind of latched onto that person. You find them fascinating. It's not just a crush. It's a sincere caring and desire to be close. You feel very strong. So I don't know, man. I mean,
Well,
it's
I guess-
almost like a burst of love,
Yeah.
like love bomb kind of
So I
thing.
guess I'm just curious. If you were here, I would ask you, like, so what happens with that once you find somebody else? Like, are you still interested and concerned about that person? And now you're also concerned and interested, in this new person? Or is it that it just switches, it just moves? And then your concern, your love, your caring for this other person just kind of goes away or just kind of fizzles out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a
That's
good
a good
one.
one.
It is a good one. I don't know that there's anything fundamentally wrong. I think that it's meaningful that you're willing to kind of analyze it. And if you authentically realize that this is kind of just your love style, I mean, goodness, if you've seen a long enough pattern, I guess I'd want you to start sharing that a little bit, or I don't know. Like,
Well, also, how long are these relationships
right,
too?
yeah.
Because also I think we need to take a look at like what's your definition of the relationship?
Mm-hmm.
What is a serious relationship? And does it need to get serious that quickly?
Mm.
If we're talking about, these relationships are lasting years, that's something different than, or we may have different advice than if these relationships are lasting, 6 months, 8 months, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because in that case, if it's kind of a shorter thing, then maybe we want to redefine what this relationship is or what a relationship is, and, setting some firm boundaries as to not move too quickly into these relationships if you feel like, that this is going to it could just up and change.
Yeah,
And you
if
could
you're
find
having a
somebody
pattern
else.
of regret and you don't trust yourself because you notice that you become sort of enamored and infatuated with somebody, and then as time goes on, you realize that fizzles out and perhaps you couldn't trust your initial impressions, then I don't want you to constantly be diving headfirst into every possible
'Cause
relationship.
if it's something that is very quick like that,
Yeah.
where you get into a really serious relationship really fast, and then 6 months later you're really interested in somebody else,
Yeah.
to me that just seems like novelty.
Yeah.
It
might
seems like
be.
it's because new relationships are exciting,
They are exciting.
and so maybe it's kind of more of that really gets somebody interested, and that maybe that's kind of what you crave and what you're after.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I don't know if did the writer say anything about seeing a therapist already?
no, I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, obviously it's our, niche advice that we always say, like, oh, go talk to a therapist. But like, honestly, in this case, I really think it could be a great conversation. I know if I had a patient like this and they kind of presented with that story, I would just have 1,000 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And those questions wouldn't just be poking the lab rat and trying to learn things, but really trying to elicit clarity and insight, and asking questions for the person to kind of contemplate. And I think if we can get in the weeds with somebody who's asking sort of those depth questions and going over the entire history of your relationships and asking, what was it that compelled you to the next person? What was novel about them? What was different about them? What were you attracted to initially? When were you starting to lose interest in the prior relationship? When did you find yourself getting discouraged? I think that could really reveal some of those root patterns, which, whatever you do with them, and again, writer, we're not saying you're wrong in this pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You're writing in because you notice it, and we're trying to honor the fact that you seem concerned. I would encourage a therapeutic conversation about it, because I think that probably would reveal pattern roots, and maybe that you'd find that useful.
Yeah, I mean, and at 25 years old, maybe you're just not ready for a relationship.
That's a
right
good
now.
point.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Also, with a therapist, you're not just going to have a single conversation. It's going to be that
Right.
ongoing conversation and ongoing relationship with the therapist
Right.
that I think you might find beneficial with this, because as you discover new things, and as your therapist helps you discover new things about these patterns, I think that could be really helpful.
Yeah. It is. I think it definitely is. And 25 was already married, has already been divorced. I mean, just that's a lot of, I think you're still quite young, and like nobody's going to fault you for not feeling settled.
Well, yeah, I'm just kind of wondering, like, how much time do you have just as you
Mm-hmm.
outside of a relationship?
Mm.
And maybe that would be something to take a look at too. I mean, just kind of learning to figure out who you are as a person,
Yeah.
taking time to yourself, not really seeking after a relationship. I mean, you can still meet people and still spend time with people and still, get all of that out of people, but maybe not really seeking out relationships at this time.
Yeah.
But I mean, all of that, I mean, it's hard to really give a solid answer to this with the limited information that we have. I agree with Jim. Like, I've got a lot of questions that if you were in the room, I would be wanting to explore this a little bit more to give some better, more directed advice. But it's kind of hard to do.
Yeah. No, it is. But hey, I like that you're writing in about it. I like that you're self-aware. I hope
Yeah.
that self-awareness goes further.
Yeah,
I hope that you explore this.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to jump over the self-awareness thing.
Yeah.
The insight you have
Really
is
strong.
really good.
Yeah, continue to broaden that though. I
yeah.
mean, you may detect that there's a pattern. You may reveal something about yourself and come to understand that, okay, what is it that I crave? And maybe, you know, I'm good with kind of just being a serial monogamist and just kind of continuing to have relationships. Or maybe I have to kind of authentically, you know, question that and figure out where I stand on that and look for continuity. So great question, writer. Thanks for writing in.
Yeah, thank you. And we have reached the end of our show. So thank you, everybody, for your support. And speaking of support, we've got a couple new TheraPals.
What's the website they can go to subscribe to the extra version of the show, Nick?
PodTherapy.org.
Go to
I believe it's pod.therapy.gov.
I think fuckgladwell.com.
That's a good one.
Disney.com. I think that's another one.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pretty sure any website you go to.
Yeah.
Or
somewhere there will be
any
link.
phone number. You know, don't even bother with
Just
the
type
website.
in a number.
Just put in a number
Look
on your
up
phone.
the admin HTTP
Just-
thing for your Wi-Fi. Type that in.
yeah.
You'll
Go to
find out-
patreon.com/therapy.
That's the website.
Patreon.com/therapy. Thank you to our new TheraPals, Sydney.
Sydney, the Sydney
Sydney.
Smith.
Hey, Sydney.
Yeah, we need to talk about that. I think we need to have a rule that if I'm not on the show and you're going to bring in a substitute, that substitute's not allowed to be better than me. And I think that needs to start right now.
Limits the pool.
Yeah, that was
We already
that was
have a tough time
the
finding people.
best episode ever.
Now we can
And
now we can just
I
get a
was
fish.
Absolutely,
That's all we can get now.
horrified. I was like, "Oh God, she is way better than me at this." So we need to never do that again. I officially ban her from the show. She's too good.
I'm actually shocked that you listened to it.
Oh my gosh, no, it was fantastic.
Couldn't put it down.
Couldn't put it down.
Okay.
Let's do it twice.
By the way, podtherapy.com is for sale for $1,888.
That seems a little pricey.
That
So
really does.
A little.
I feel like that's
pricey.
only directed at us too.
Do you feel like? Yeah, there's.
Then they don't know us very well.
I feel like
I
we are
mean,
being targeted there.
There's
If
got to be a
that's-
reason we didn't buy it originally.
if that's the price they're asking, they don't know who they're bargaining.
I
I
with.
mean, my
anything.
bet is that it was pricey
Yeah,
for some
that's
reason.
probably what it was. I think anything with the word therapy in it right now is very expensive. Oh, you know what URL I did buy the other day?
What?
Therapalooza.
Yeah, and I saw that you tagged Dr. Drew
and
and
Dr. Phil.
Oh, let me guess. They
Yeah.
didn't respond?
They did not this time.
Oh, no kidding.
That is not what's happened every time. Okay, Dr. Drew has retweeted me once, or actually, he clicked like on a comment, which I have framed in
Yeah.
my office.
Yeah.
Very important to me.
Is he still a doctor?
I believe he's a psychiatrist.
I mean, he
I don't know if he practices. I wouldn't. If I was him,
I
I'd
don't
go
know.
on TV every day,
Yeah.
tell everybody
because I know Dr. Phil is not.
No, Dr. Phil
In any
dropped
way a
his
doctor, right?
license and just went on TV. Yeah, he actually, whatever it is, withdrew or resigned his California psychologist license.
Well, he's still a doctor.
Yeah, but he's
Well,
not, he's
yeah,
not
he
practicing.
still has the
Doesn't have a
PhD or
license.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
He's
still
not
has the degree.
practicing.
He still has whatever degrees
Yeah.
he got. Yeah.
Drew does like a call-in show. He does several of them. I went to his website the other day.
And thank you to our other new TheraPal, Tobias Villegas.
Nice.
I know I nailed that last
Yeah,
name.
no, you got to roll the R's though.
Which R? Look at that name. And
I
you
know.
tell me which R you
No,
want me
no.
to
I'm
roll.
just letting you know.
in Tobias Villegas.
Yeah, you got to roll the R's. Yeah.
Tobias. Tobias.
He's got it. That's how it
Thank
works.
you, Tobias.
And we want to thank our bosses, the Saccharin 16, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Smitty Scoop, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Kayla Lansbury, Judy Schneider, Nathan's Hot Dog Scoop, King of Student Loan Debt, Dr. Ben Don, Crazy Banana Scoop, Mason Miller, Carolyn Albert, Leon Kassab, Kevin Chamberlain, Malia. That feels right. Richard Macy, Cindy Ash, Newstick, First of Name Breather of Fire, Emma Vass, Lord Colin Stewart, Dirty B, Ben Stanley, Sammy Scoop, and Sarah Smith.
And if you would like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
Like he's been doing it his whole life.
That's all the time we've got for this week's session. We want to thank our landlords, the Ice Cream Social Podcast, and thank all of those who contributed to our show today. We really appreciate it. And remember, pod therapy isn't something you should keep all to yourself. Share this episode with some friends who need it by opening this episode's description in your podcast app and copying and pasting the link provided in your social media. Don't forget, you can visit us at facebook.com/podtherapy, on Twitter @PodTherapyGuys, on Instagram @PodTherapyGuys, and on patreon.com/therapy. And do you want to submit a question to the show? Of course you do. Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Jim Jobin.
Thanks, and we'll see you for appointment next week. Peace out, people. Have a good week.
Lates.